I woke up one morning and the silence felt wrong. No drip from the faucet, no hum of the pump that had been running under my land for 40 years. They'd cut my water on my property to teach me a lesson. The whole HOA thought they were putting me in my place. What they didn't know was that every drop they drank, every lawn they watered, came from the aquifer beneath my soil. My name's Ezra Thornhill. I've spent 20 years as a water resource consultant. I understand systems, how they flow, how they fail, and who really owns what. The first sign of trouble wasn't the silence that morning. It was the letter that came 3 weeks earlier. A thick envelope with the Riverside Meadows HOA seal pressed in navy wax. Violation number 47. Peeling fence paint. Grass over 4 inches. A work truck in my own driveway. $500 a day until I complied. I didn't even live in their neighborhood. I was on the old Thornhill property my grandfather built long before the subdivision existed. Their president, Sylvia Drummond, called me into her office to discuss solutions. The woman had the kind of composure that could curdle milk, blonde helmet hair, pressed blazer, smile like a razor. She looked at me over her clipboard and said, "You're lowering the quality of life for our residents, Mr. Thornhill." I told her calm as I could. "I'm not one of your residents. My land isn't inside your boundary." She smiled, small and poisonous. 85% of our members voted to ask you to comply anyway. Democracy, you know. That word stuck with me, democracy. Because what she meant was mob rule dressed up in bylaws. I went home that night and sat at the old oak table my grandfather built. That's when I opened the county records and found what Sylvia didn't understand: my grandfather's 1979 water rights certificate giving my family exclusive extraction rights to the Spring Valley aquifer. I had the well, the pump, the pipes. The HOA had assumptions. They'd been using my water for decades without even knowing it. All those perfect lawns, all those swimming pools, they were drinking Thornhill water. And now they wanted to fine me for visual discord. Over the next weeks, the letters kept coming. Violation 48, wrong color siding. Violation 49, overhanging tree branch. Violation 50, commercial vehicle. The fines climbed to $4 grand. Every letter copied to dozens of homeowners, turning my name into gossip fuel. People stopped meeting my eyes. Then I heard about the HOA meeting. I didn't plan to go, but something inside me, stubbornness, maybe pride, pushed me there. The room was full of retirees and wine-clutching property owners. Sylvia stood in front of a projector, my house on the screen beside a shiny stucco mansion. She said, "This property threatens our community standards." When someone asked if they could force me to sell, Sylvia said, "We're exploring our legal options." The crowd nodded like churchgoers. That's when I realized this wasn't about fences or paint. It was about erasing anything that didn't match their fantasy. Days later, I got an email the HOA needed access to my property to inspect the shared water infrastructure. Shared. My jaw tightened. I scanned the original handwritten agreement my grandfather made with the old rancher's access granted with goodwill revocable at any time. I snapped a photo and replied, "Access denied." 4 days later, I woke up to that silence. When I reached the pump station, the pressure gauge was dead. Someone had turned the valve and disconnected the feed line to my house. 2 sets of boot prints in the damp soil. A bright orange notice taped to the box, unauthorized water connection disconnected per HOA protocol. I called Sylvia's number. She answered like it was a sunny morning. "Mr. Thornhill, what can I do for you?" "You can tell me who the hell trespassed on my land and cut my water." "Oh, that," she said sweetly. "Our maintenance crew removed an illegal tap to the community system. If you'd like reconnection, you can apply for legal access. There's a $15,000 fee." "That's my water system," I said, my voice shaking. She laughed softly. "The distribution network is HOA property, Mr. Thornhill. If you've been using it, you're the one stealing." Then she hung up. The police came, shrugged, said it was a civil matter. The county utility said the same. I sat on my porch watching sprinklers on the other side of the fence spray arcs of my water into the desert air and realized I was alone. That night I walked to the main valve that fed all of Riverside Meadows. I could shut it off in one turn. End their perfect world in 5 seconds flat. I laid my hand on the steel, feeling the cold pulse of pressure underneath. For a moment, I wanted it. The revenge. The silence that would echo through 200 homes. But then I saw my grandfather's handwriting in my mind, his note about goodwill, about trust between neighbors. He built this to share, not to destroy. I let go. Instead, I turned on my laptop. I had 20 years of experience in water law, and for once I was going to use it for myself. By sunrise, I'd gathered every document permits flow meter readings the 1978 agreement. I contacted a water rights attorney named Meredith Crane. She listened for 5 minutes and said, "You've got them. Send me everything. We'll file today." Within 24 hours, a lawsuit was in motion, trespassing property damage theft of water resources. I also drafted an email to a local journalist, attached the photos, the certificates, the cut pipe. I didn't send it yet, but it was ready. A loaded chamber. When the article went live the next morning, I didn't even know she'd already published. The headline, "Local HOA Cuts Off Water to Man Who Owns the Source." Within hours, it went viral. People were furious. Strangers called me a hero. Sylvia called me uncooperative. That afternoon, I got an official notice emergency HOA meeting, all homeowners invited. I didn't go. I didn't need to. They were already unraveling. The next day in court, Sylvia sat at the defense table in her perfect blazer, pretending calm. The judge was an older woman who looked like she'd heard every story under the Arizona sun. My lawyer laid out the evidence photos water rights certificate flow data showing the HOA using over 160,000 gallons a day from my well. Then she showed the notice they'd taped to my pump. When it was their turn, the HOA's attorney tried to sound reasonable. "Your Honor, our clients believe this was community infrastructure. The plaintiff's property negatively affects 200 families." The judge cut him off. "Do you have any document showing you own the water rights?" He hesitated. "No, but long-term use establishes." "Not in Arizona," the judge snapped. "You cut off water to a legal rights holder while using his source for free. That's not protection. That's theft." She signed the order on the spot. The HOA was to restore my water within 24 hours and stay off my land. 20 minutes. That's how long it took to end months of their arrogance. When I got home, 2 contractor trucks were already waiting. The same crew who'd cut the line worked quietly to reconnect it. One guy muttered, "Sorry, man. We just do what they tell us." I said, "I know. It's not your fault." The faucet hissed, then gushed. Clear, cold, perfect water. The same water they'd tried to take from me. 3 days later, the state water inspector showed up. Clipboard in hand, he tested the pump, traced every line, and said, "They never had extraction permits." This is a major violation. 2 fines, $50,000 for illegal extraction, $25,000 for running an unregistered distribution network. 90 days to fix it, or the state would shut them down. That night, Riverside Meadows held another meeting. By the end, the vote was unanimous, Sylvia Drummond removed as president. I heard she packed her folders and left the building without a word. The same woman who told me, "We'll find a way," Mr. Thornhill had finally found the exit. A few days later, the new interim president, Jonah Griffith, the same guy who once avoided eye contact at the grocery store, came to see me. He looked nervous, sincere. "We want to make things right," he said. "We're proposing a 30-year water agreement. We'll pay you for every gallon we use, cover all maintenance, and we'll never interfere with your property again." I looked at the paper. It wasn't about money anymore, but I made sure it would last. Add a clause, I told him. "If the HOA ever violates these terms, I can terminate in 90 days. He nodded. "Fair." We signed a week later, under a notary's stamp that hit the table like a closing door. When Sylvia's old board sent a formal apology to every resident, I didn't feel triumphant. Just even. Balanced again. The system had corrected itself like a pump returning to proper pressure. Later that fall, I walked out to the pump station at sunset. The gauges read steady 45 psi flow constant. Water moving beneath everything invisible, essential. I thought about my grandfather, about generosity mistaken for weakness, and how sometimes the only way to teach respect is to let the law do the talking. They wanted to teach me a lesson. Turns out, I was the one teaching them. Lesson: power built on someone else's property will always collapse the moment the truth surfaces.